So you have helped generate more than $300 million in revenue for partners, right? So what is one counterintuitive growth lever most companies completely overlook when they feel they have tried everything?
One of the biggest levers, I would say, for almost all the companies that I've worked with has been subscriptions. So, depending on the business model, it can be digital, it can be physical, but if you can transition your perspective into thinking, not just how do I sell a product, but how do I sell this product on repeat? And I can give you a real world analogy on this that may not look like a subscription on the outside, but it kind of is, right?
And also talk to us about your success mantra, as in top three things that have contributed to your success so far.
Well, there's so many. If I have to condense it into three, I would say the first thing is the ability to ignore the noise
Mm-hmm.
and see the signal. So I can tell you the generic stuff, which is like discipline and pursuing your dreams and all this. But these I think are really actionable and not said enough. So yeah, the ability to tune out the noise, as in everyone is saying do this, do this, do this, or everyone is
Mm-hmm.
telling you, or everyone is pushing you in a specific direction. But
Right.
internally, if you use your intuition and you see things differently, I would say don't question yourself, because even if it may seem that you're going down a wrong path, wrong, and it may seem off, still continue going down, because it's not one way. It's not a one way street. And eventually you'll figure things out. But if you just listen to the noise and listen to the instructions of everyone, you won't make much progress.
This podcast series, the world's only quadrilingual podcast at this moment of recording, and we are trying to embark into multiple languages as we speak. And here we embark on transformative conversations for a better future. And we want to simplify and amplify your journey to success. I'm your host, Navin Samala, dedicated to making the world a better place by bringing you wisdom through valuable discussions with experts designed to simplify and amplify your success. And thank you so much for tuning in. So, folks, welcome back to yet another episode of the Guiding Voice podcast series. And today we are joined by Neil Ateem. He is a computer scientist turned growth strategist and founder of Multiplier, which is a performance focused marketing firm which has helped partners generate over $300 million in revenue across fintech, online education, and digital products. He has worked with brands like Mind Valley, Jordan Peterson, Coaching.com, Health Optimization Summit, Soma Breath, and Catch Up Group, turning scattered marketing activities into sharp, scalable growth systems. So we have a lot to learn from Neil. So, Neil, first things first, how are you doing today?
Thanks for having me, Naveen. I'm doing great today and looking forward to this episode. I think it's going to be an exciting one with you here today, and looking forward to giving value here to the listener.
All right. All right. So, Neil, again, welcome to TGV. So, talk to us about what are the audience going to learn out of our conversation today?
So, obviously, my background is lean towards marketing, growing companies, scaling businesses. So, what I've seen over, I would say, 12, 13 years of experience is it's not just about the tactics or the thing to implement, but sometimes it's just a perspective change that is needed to really help a business grow and take off and go to the next level. So, in this episode, the goal is to deliver that to the audience.
Amazing. So, I'm looking forward to it. So, folks, today we are going to dive deep into our conversation on the topic at hand, from firefighting to 5x growth, and Neil Ateem on multiplying momentum. So, but before we get started, here's an exciting twist. As always, let us tickle our guest brain first. So, Neil, get ready for a rapid fire round of random words. I'm going to mention a few words, and I would love to hear the first thing that comes to your mind in response without thinking much. And if you're ready, let's
Let's
get
do it. I'm ready.
love the energy. And here comes the first word: curiosity,
Constant learning.
invention,
I would say combining.
future,
Optimism.
universe,
Source.
success,
Default.
leadership,
Example.
aliens,
Um, Mystery.
role model.
God.
All right. And then artificial intelligence, AI.
AI. Gray area.
Okay, here comes the last word: agency.
Agency. Well, I would say, yeah, this one stopped me in my tracks. Agency. It's a good word. The ability to figure it out.
Ability to figure it out. Amazing. I loved all your responses and thank you for participating in the rapid fire round number one. There is one more rapid fire round towards the end of the episode, so stay tuned. And Neil, let's get into the mainstream conversation. So firstly, I want to know from you, who is your guiding voice?
Who is my guiding voice? So I would say for me, that is God, the creator, I'm not sure how many people are religious or what their belief is, but for me, it is God. There is a creator who has, put a soul in us and gave us life and guides us, through any means, no matter what religion or philosophy is being followed. But I do believe in a creator out there who instills in us that North Star as to what we should be doing or not doing as human beings, in our time, in our brief time that we have here.
Right. And also talk to us about your success mantra, as in top three things that have contributed to your success so far.
Well, there's so many. If I have to condense it into three, I would say the first thing is the ability to ignore the noise and see the signal. So I can tell you the generic stuff, which is like discipline and pursuing your dreams, all of this. But these I think are really actionable and not said enough. So yeah, the ability to tune out the noise, as in everyone is saying do this, do this, do this, or everyone is telling you, or everyone is pushing you in a specific direction. But internally, if you use your intuition and you see things differently, I would say don't question yourself, because even if it may seem that you're going down a wrong path, wrong, um, and it may seem off, still continue going down, because it's not one way. It's not a one way street, and eventually you'll figure things out. But if you just listen to the noise and listen to the instructions of everyone, you won't make much progress. That's just the reality of it. Um, or you'll get the progress that is seen by everyone, right? Which is you become one of the averages, basically. Now, which is there's nothing wrong, but if you're striving for excellence as an individual, then this is a great approach, right? So that's the first one, which is to drown out the noise. Two is you need to decide what you will sacrifice along the way. So, depending on the level of success you want and what you want to achieve, your goals, whether it's growing a business or, kicking off a venture, whatever it may be, you need to come to an agreement with yourself mostly on the discipline, on your habits, everything, on what you would say no to. So if you enjoy a life where you party a lot and you go out a lot and and you spend a lot of time in these things, but your goal is to kick off a business, grow a business, etc., then it may not be the thing or the habit that supports that. So you need to make that decision on how to manage this, how to say no more often. And it doesn't need to be like a complete no, but at least putting it into a way that it's managed. As in, let's say you have a business, you're scaling, you have a team to manage, you have products to deliver, service to deliver, whatever it may be. At least you can say, okay, from Monday to Friday or Saturday, I say no to everything that comes outside of this, and you protect that space, right? That is for the mission, for your mission. And then outside of that, okay, you have a Sunday or a Saturday, a weekend for that. But, the ability to make that contract with yourself, I would say is really important. Or else, it becomes wind that slows down your speed, right? So that would be number two. And for the third, I would say, um, don't underestimate the ability or your ability to grow really fast simply by making connections. And I'll go more into that. Now, there's a really great book. I don't recall the author's name, but it's about the who, not the how, right? Um, and basically it goes into that, right? Like every time we want to achieve something, we may think, okay, how do I do this? How do I do this? But reframing that into who do I need to know to get this done, you know? And then from there, your life can really take off quickly. Like, for example, on my personal experience, I've had a lot of business ventures, a lot of clients, etc. And I've done zero marketing for myself. It's all been through the network, me trying to offer value, help the companies that I know, and then they're the ones who really just you know uh, co-connect me to other companies. So really looking into leveraging relationships, I think I put that as the third pillar. And it's not just about business, it's about life in general. It doesn't have to always be about business and growth and all of this. Sometimes it may just be the person that you need to talk to, maybe on your personal journey, to help you develop a little bit more, or spend quality time, or co-develop or co-create along the way, that can help. So yeah, I think that's a huge one that it's easy to go into your silo when you're working on your goals and your mission and your business, and you're so focused, but then you forget about that element, which is the relationship side of things, right? And it can help you along the journey as well, to enjoy that journey, because you can have people that you can share the journey with, who are going on the same journey with you as well. So super important point there.
All right, got it. And let's move to the next one. So you have helped generate more than $300 million in revenue for partners, right? So what is one counterintuitive growth lever most companies completely overlook when they feel they have tried everything?
Yeah. So one of the biggest levers, I would say, for almost all the companies that I've worked with has been subscriptions. So, depending on the business model, it can be digital, it can be physical, but if you can transition your perspective into thinking, not just how do I sell a product, but how do I sell this product on repeat? And I can give you a real world analogy on this. That may not look like a subscription on the outside, but it kind of is, right? So let's say Apple. Apple, they sell you an iPhone. They sell you your MacBook. They may sell you headphones, like AirPods. They sell you uh, iPad. So they have a suite of products. Now, the thing about Apple users is they don't usually just buy one product, and they don't keep that product for all their life. So they would keep buying products. They would upgrade their device. They would buy an additional device. And when they have these devices, they would get Apple Music, they would get cloud storage, the list goes on. So on the outside, it may seem, oh, I'm just buying an iPhone, but you're not. You're locked into a subscription for life almost, right? And iPhone users tend to be really loyal. Like they stick with it once they go into the ecosystem. It becomes really convenient to sync all your devices and your family and all of this, right? Like it just works really well. So that's one example. To the outside, it may seem I'm buying a single product, but internally as a business model, that is a subscription there, because customers are essentially primed to be customers for life, spending money on repeat. So even with the subscriptions of the software, but the phone, technically the hardware devices, then become subscription as well, because you're going to upgrade every couple of years. You may spend, I don't know, let's say $799 on a phone this year, but in 3 years you're going to upgrade again to the latest model, and again it repeats. So then if you break that down, attracting uh, let's say 200-300 bucks out of an average customer per year. And when you look at it like that, it becomes a subscription, right? So yeah, this can apply to many other businesses, whether it's physical product, whether it's digital products, services, whatever it may be. So I think that is the biggest shift that needs to happen, because the thing about So you have transactional revenue, which I sell this product once and I collect the money, and then I need to go look for a new customer if I don't have something to sell again. And I may have something to sell again, but then, it caps out, right? So this is the power of a subscription product versus transactional product. So that way you have predictability in your business valuation goes up. And of course, money is going to be coming into the future. You don't have to be running after getting a new customer always. So that usually helps with that case. So yeah, in all cases, a subscription would be the thing that really grows a business and helps them scale.
Right. Got it.
Yeah.
And you come from computer science and transition to marketing, right? So how does your technical mindset change the way you design acquisition and retention strategies compared to a traditional marketer?
So I I would say it helps me in a really unique way, right? Now, obviously, my focus is digital marketing, which is everything that is online. Now, my background in computer science helps me with the technical side of things, which is funnels, understanding user experience, how people interact with devices, where their pain points are, conversion mechanisms, screen time, like all of these things, right? So everything from a UX perspective helps a lot, and of course the technical understanding for implementation. So let's say I have a product launch coming up, and the developer tells me, "Oh, I need 2 weeks to do this." I'm like, "No, this will take 2 days." So having that experience of understanding, okay, for infrastructure, for funnels, for the website, what it actually takes to get these things up and running, that's easy because I know I can do it. Like I don't do the execution myself anymore, but at least I have the understanding. So one really good point is the fact that um, I understand what it takes in terms of implementation, because everything we depend on is online infrastructure, right? Building the web pages, the funnels, all of these things, emails, etc. So I have a deep understanding of that, what it would actually take, and I can guide like really specifically on what the requirements are to get things rolling. Now, also the thing is with computer science is very logic based, obviously, right? So the thing about marketing is, yes, numbers are really important. Numbers are great. Like you need to know your numbers. That's where you know where to optimize, etc. But the reality is with marketing, it's all about human behavior, how people think, and that can have so many variables that it just is not logical. So for example, like right now, I'm battling with this scaling this company, and we have ads from 2 years ago that would just randomly give us a spike on a day, and for no reason, and we can't pinpoint why exactly that happens. Like, so you will have these instances, and that's just how it goes in marketing, right? Sometimes something will hit, and you think you understand why. Oh, the numbers all align and stuff, and then for the next month it's all chaos and it just doesn't add up. So I think it really bridges the gap between psychology and marketing, computer science, because I do have the logical side, but I can pair it with the psychological side on human behavior, and pair it together well. So yeah, it does help a lot because I understand all the technical side of things as well.
When it comes to founders, many of them live in permanent firefighting mode. So, what are the early warning signs that a business has a focus problem rather than a traffic or a product problem?
Well, it's exactly as you said. If they have a focus problem, it's because they're just trying to do too many things, right? So it's natural, right? Every founder wants to do this idea and this idea and this idea and this idea, but that is how you well, if you have unlimited resources, that's completely fine. But if you have limited resources, that's how you ensure your company doesn't grow, by focusing on too many things at the same time. So the way to go around that is, first of all, the founder needs to acknowledge that things need to move by priority, and by priority should be what brings in the revenue right now, should be a well-oiled machine, should be optimized, and should be scaling to support every other idea that the founder may have and want to jump on next and assign resources to. So let's say, for example, you have a company, and the acquisition channel that works the best is email. So they have a good system for getting email leads in, for nurturing them and converting them. But the founder, he wants to dance on TikTok and do YouTube and do live stream, you know, and whatever it is out there, other channels, right? Like a million others. However, his email system may be broken. It may need optimizing. It's probably going down. So until that is fixed completely and optimized, because that is what is feeding the business, then venture into everything else. And yeah, the main way to mitigate having that focus problem is to simply focus on what is working, get it working perfectly, and move on to the next thing. Now, a lot of businesses try to do everything in parallel. You want to work on X, Y, Z, and then something else. However, what I've seen to work best, even with really huge companies, is focused efforts and doing it sequentially, one after the other. So seeing something to full circle, and then completing that project, implementing it properly, documenting it properly, making sure, okay, this is running smoothly, and then moving on to the next. Because there'll always be a million things to do in any business. Whether they're doing 1 million or 100 million, like that's just a reality. There's always 100 things to do at the same time. So prioritization becomes the most important, like I would say, guiding metric for the business in this case.
That is clear. And moving to the next one, when you look back at building Mind Valley's subscription business, right? What was the single most important decision that unlocked compounding growth
Yeah.
instead of just short-lived
Single.
spikes?
So that's a tough question. You put me on the spot here. Um, so of course, like, okay, transitioning a business from something it's been doing for a decade, which is transactional model, and then moving to this, um, is a huge risk factor. Because at the end of the day, any test you do at this scale is a risk, right? It's a bet that it will work out. Now, you have to, I would say, be comfortable um, with testing and numbers going down. So I would say you need to have a cushion. Let's say you're operating your business, you have a certain amount of cash in the bank. I would say if you're making like a huge transition to a subscription, you need to be able to pivot, right? Like if it doesn't work out right now, because this transition didn't happen overnight. It was years of testing coming together. It was testing different products. It was refining. It was creating the right offer, piecing things together. So you need to have a really, I would say, iron will to testing and making sure it works. Now you can be the lucky entrepreneur company that gets it right on the first couple tries. You create the perfect offer, the perfect product or service, and it flies off the shelf, or it gets subscribers in no time, and it can work. But for us, it took a while. It was like a proper um, year of testing and refining and rolling out kinks. You're gonna upset people, maybe your community, etc. But that's part of the process, and you need to be okay with that. Because reaching that next level of growth, of scaling, you need to be willing to break things as well. So it's easy to get attached to what you have right now and think, oh, this is perfect, it's working, so let's not do it. But sometimes you need to kind of break that thing and reassemble it into something bigger that would take you to the next level. So yeah, I think that sums it up uh, as
Mhm.
best as I could in one point.
Wonderful. All right. And you have worked across sectors like fintech and online education, right? And what
Yeah.
growth principles stay constant regardless of the industry? And if there is something that needs to be customized, what should it be?
Um, so a huge thing is the community element of these businesses. Like I don't have the roadmap or the one secret thing on how to do it right. But from what I've seen from many of these companies, is that okay? I can go learn about something anywhere, right? Literally anywhere. I can go on ChatGPT, YouTube, etc. So why do people come to these places? These wells, and they are willing to spend their money and learn here from this specific author or person and be part of this community. And it's all about the brand. and how it ties to the community as well. So, like, if I'm wearing Nike shoes, for example, they have a certain persona that they go to, So immediately you wear Nike running shoes or gym shoes, and you get into the state of, okay, I'm an athlete, because that's a brand that they portray. And it's the same thing with the communities, with online platforms. It's like they build that community, that image around it, and then people can associate themselves with this. It's who they aspire to be. And then everyone wants to be around people like themselves, right? Who are into the same things, on the same mission, let's say. So once you can combine that with your product, with your service, and you get people who are either in or out. If they're paying customer, they get access, to interact with the community, maybe to events as well, additional, like all of these things tie in. And then in the back end, yeah, you have a product or a service, but in the front, it's like you're selling the ability to connect with people like you, to learn, to grow, to share an experience, right? And the base of it is the product or service. So yeah, if you look at a company like Mindvalley, like we focus a lot on real world activation as well, having these events, getting people together, creating memories, and people building their image about, yeah, I'm part of Mindvalley, right? So it goes way beyond, oh, I'm just doing an online course or part of the subscription or just going to an event. It's not just a one time thing, but it's like an entire identity that is taken on.
Mhm. Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
Also, Neil, you talk about these high impact levers at Multiplier, your own organization. So, can you share a framework for identifying these levers in a business that feels stuck or plateaued?
Yeah. So there's a lot of things that can be done, right? In terms of um, levers, in terms of tactics, all of these things. Now, what we like to focus on and what we've seen to be most effective for us is looking at two things. That is your customer acquisition cost and your customer lifetime value. And I'll go into that. Now, your customer acquisition cost is essentially how much it costs you to acquire a customer, right? So you can be using something like uh, uh, ads to acquire a customer, and you may know that it costs you, let's say, $100 to acquire a customer, right? Now, if someone spends, you have a product that is, let's say, $3,000, then you know immediately if they purchase your customer, the leads purchase, sorry, it's worth $3,000. And if you cap off there, that's your only product, you don't have any subscription, then obviously you're capped there. So then your customer acquisition cost is $100 and your customer lifetime value is 3,000, right? Which is not bad. That's a really, really good ratio. But obviously in the real world, that's just an example. It doesn't work like that, right? There's not a lot of companies that can pull off numbers like that. Now, a realistic case might be that you have, um, you may be spending, I don't know, let's say 500 to $1,000 to acquire a customer that is going to give you $3,000, right? So then your profitability changes based on your internal expenses and all of this. Now, obviously, then the levers come in for customer acquisition. So then this is where you can test things like um, uh, the actual channel for customer acquisition, right? So whether you're using ads or email, organic, whatever it may be, you start testing there on the front end. Um, and these can be, things like maybe just optimizing your checkout flow or your lead magnets, getting higher conversions on your page, right? So this is where CRO comes in. Maybe it's optimizing your email flows, doing retargeting better, activating affiliates, doing win back campaigns for leads that have gone cold, or activating referrals, doing promos. And I'm not one to endorse discount promos. Like, to me, that is a sure way to take a business downhill. You can discount your way to growth, right? So when I say promos, I mean getting a little more fancier, let's say. So things like bundling or giving product upgrades or limited time offers, things like that. Coupons and stuff can work as well, depending on the season. Like, I just did a campaign for one of my clients for Black Friday. We did a coupon deal, and then that worked really well. Did like 100 grand over Black Friday period. So things like that can work. And then playing with pricing, for example, that can work as well, right? So that's for the customer acquisition side. Then you have customer lifetime value, which is okay, you've taken the cost down, as in how much you want, how much you're willing to spend, or how much you do spend to acquire a customer. Then how much do they spend with you? And this is where the magic happens, right? So this is where you go into things like subscription. Obviously, if someone is on subscription, they keep paying rather than one time. Do you upsell? So after they purchase a single product, what is the next problem or then the next need they may have? Do you offer that immediately to them or in an email journey or in the customer journey? So then they can purchase a product that is bigger. Do you have a downsell in case they decline that offer? Do you have a cross sell for something that may be similar? If you have a physical product, this becomes easier, right? Do you have an order bump, which is something they can just add on to the existing product that they're purchasing? Um, do you have proper nurturing sequence to take them up again? Uh, do you have an upgrade option or a downgrade option if they try to leave? Do you do win back campaigns for if someone leaves? So all of these things would help your customer lifetime value. So as you can see, it's many levers, right? So that's why I said like we focus on only two, and then from there we can branch off because this thing can keep going on and on and on. So there's so many things that can be worked on, but that's why we try to narrow it down. Because to the earlier point, focus is where a lot of companies kind of fall short. That's why we say let's focus on this and then we expand out. Let's focus on this and then we expand out. So when we get in, it's like okay, let's identify what the real problem is. Is it acquisition problem or is it a customer lifetime value problem? And we drill from one, and obviously we go across to the other, right? But we need to start somewhere instead of trying to do everything, and we become uh, just other firefighters in their business, which doesn't sense. So we're there to bring that focus and alignment. And I think, yeah, this is the best approach that we've seen after many years of testing, and this is our methodology, CAC and LTV, as we call it.
Mhm. Right. Got it. Got it. And then, in your experience, how do the best founders think about trade offs? For example, between fast cash wins
Yeah.
and long term brand equity?
So depends on what you call the best founders, right? Because everyone is in it for something else. Like some founders are in it for fast cash. They want to get acquired, and they just want to make as much money as possible. Others, they took investor money, so they need to make money as fast as possible to pay off investors and move on. Some of them, they're legacy founders who want to build something that would, be a lifetime business for them, carry their name and their legacy. So it depends, and it's case by case. So I tend to work with more founders who are in it for the long term, building their legacy businesses. And for me, this is much more sustainable approach because the thing about the the fast cash approach is that I don't know if these businesses will be in existence 10 years from now. Some cases it will, but other cases not always, right? So yeah, it completely depends. Like if they're not strapped for cash and not, let's say, desperate, it becomes much easier. But obviously, not everyone has that luxury as well. Sometimes the business may be going through a rough patch and you need to make money. But how you do that, how you make the money, how you support the business right now is important as well, right? Not burning out your email list and doing promos all the time, not completely discounting your products and services, and then you become a really, at least perception wise, you become a cheap brand, and then it becomes hard to recover from that as well. So it's really um, finding that middle ground depending on the case.
And I'm really curious to understand this one. Like, do you approach marketing strategy differently for a personality led brand like Jordan Peterson versus a more faceless either SaaS or a fintech product?
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
Mhm.
Okay, so it depends on the size of the company, right? Obviously, for $100 million company, it would be more focused on the brand um, rather than a personal brand, who would be less revenue but more dependent on the founder. For example, well, I would say most of the clients that I work with right now are founder led. And the thing is, the founders in these cases, they have a bigger presence than the brand itself. And now there's trade-offs to that, right? Obviously, when it's this case, if you're looking to sell a company and it's dependent on the founder, that becomes a little more challenging if it's completely dependent. But on the other hand, when you have a founder led company whose personal brand is really huge, it doesn't matter what the venture is behind it. They can have 10 companies, 20 companies, like one of the instances right now where there's multiple companies under the personal brand, and it works really well. So again, it's case by case. Like uh, having a personal brand does help a lot, though. Like obviously, in this case, a lot of founders here would be listening, and I would say building that personal brand is the ultimate leverage because beyond the company, you can have more ventures. You build a reputation, and whether you're seeking investors, business partners, etc. Like it does help a lot, right? And like I said, any venture that comes under your personal brand would get to leverage off of that. So it does help a tremendous amount. So in emerging markets, can you be a little more specific there? Okay, so you mean geographic? Yeah, geographic. So the thing about uh, the emerging markets, so let's say India, Indonesia, all of these places, um, they still have the same requirements for everyday life, right? Their spending capacity tends to be lower, but what makes up for that is just the amount of human beings in these places. So even if you have low ticket product, I can't go into any specific products or services or anything, but even if you have something that is low ticket but mass market, then it still can be a really huge success, right? Now, these places, emerging markets, like yeah, they may have a low spending capacity. However, everyone has access to a smartphone. Everyone is connected. Everyone is online. Everyone is exposed to marketing. Everyone has wants and needs and desires. So whatever it is you're selling, yes, you may not be able to make the same amount of money as in the US market, for example, per customer. However, even with a lower ticket, you have access to a much bigger market. So it kind of it's not the same, obviously, but you can still do pretty well. And yeah, I see a lot of entrepreneurs around here. Like I live in Bali, Indonesia, and they tap into the local markets, and they do pretty well. Like obviously. Um, there's a lot of huge companies coming out of Asia, Southeast Asia as well, that make it to the billion-dollar status, right? And they're basically, I won't call any names, but they're replicates almost of the Western brands that are serving that need, but just in this market with the localization part as well. That's huge. That's a huge deal for the local markets, having it in their own language and everything as well, rather than everything being English, because you have the big Western brands where predominantly English. So that localization element does help a lot. In general, it's like you don't need to think about the ticket size, but if you can scale because of the population sizes, then it is a really good opportunity there.
And Neil, this has been an amazing conversation full of insights, and I think it's time for us to add some more spice and excitement to the episode, which means it brings us to the second rapid fire round. And if you're ready, let's continue.
Yep, ready.
Yeah. All right. So my first bullet out of second rapid fire round is: if you could have one gigantic billboard anyway with anything on it, what would it say?
I would say to find your purpose.
Find your purpose. Amazing. And can you describe yourself in just one word?
Persistent.
One growth tactic you would ban if you could.
Dancing on TikTok.
Okay. The most overrated metric in the marketing tool.
Revenue. Gross
And
gross revenue.
uh-huh, uh-huh. And then the most underrated channel that is printing return on investment or ROI quite?
Still is the same thing that has been doing it for 10 years. It's email. No matter what comes out, email is still the best.
Brand or performance? And which side of the spectrum do you secretly lean toward?
Performance.
Okay. And one word that describes your operating style as a founder.
One word, I would say action.
Amazing. The boldest headline you would love to see about one of your clients in just 2 years.
This headline. Yeah, I would say I would like to see something like because of Multiplier, we were able to scale to $1 billion
Mhm.
company.
Okay. And then here comes the last one for the second rapid fire round. What is one electronic gadget or a fantasy gadget that you like to see or invent yourself?
Fantasy or electronic gadget. So I work with technology all the time, and there's so many devices. There would be so many devices, but what I would like is an anti-device, something where I can just click a button and everything shuts off, like all the devices, So then can have some thinking, some peace of mind, no distractions, no input, no output, like just that. Like to me, that is a device I would invest in.
Right, got it. And after that amazing second rapid fire, let's flip back to the mainstream. And Neil, if you had to rebuild your organization Multiplier from zero today, right, with no network or portfolio, what exact steps would you take in the first 90 days to prove value and win serious clients?
I'd actually do the same thing I did from the very beginning, which is work for free, get the case studies, and use those case studies to sell. Like that's it. Prove my worth. Show the results I can get. Do it for free because I know that's the investment needed. And then I take that results. I take the proof, and whoever I help, I ask them to share it with their network. Refer me, and then it would take care of itself. If you can actually deliver what you promised, then it becomes easy that way, right?
Yeah, got it. Love it. And yeah, Neil, I thoroughly enjoyed talking to you. And it was amazing hosting you on the platform, and thank you for sharing all the wonderful insights. And I'm sure it is going to benefit the community at large. And how is your experience being hosted on TGV, the Guiding Voice?
I had a really amazing time, so I'm looking forward to this episode going out, and of course bringing value to the community out there. Just me, adding value back into the world, like I get value every single day. So for me, I'm really happy to do this, and I really hope this knowledge is taken and implemented, into the businesses with the founders out there.
All right. So, Neil, thank you once again for being part of our journey in shaping the careers and lives of millions across the globe, and looking forward to hosting you again in future. And let's stay connected. All right. So, and friends, that was our episode with Neil Ateem. And before we jump into the fun trivia section, we have a quick request. If you have enjoyed the conversation and found it useful, request you to share with at least 3 of your friends or colleagues or family members who would also like TGV, the guiding voice, to spread the knowledge and help others grow just like you. And now it's time for us to cruise into the trivia segment. So today's trivia is about growth, right? So first and foremost, fact is that when it comes to the global subscription explosion, right? The global subscription e-commerce market has grown several times in the last decade, which is driven by digital content, SaaS, and membership models. And it is showing that how recurring revenue has quietly become one of the most powerful business modes. Second is decision overload cost growth. Studies in behavioral economics show that too many simultaneous choices reduce decision quality and speed, which mirrors what happens in businesses that try 10 channels at once instead of committing to a few high leverage bets. And third fact is tiny tweaks make huge impact. You know, experiments in conversion optimization have repeatedly shown that even small improvements in on-site or in-funnel conversion rates can unlock disproportionate revenue gains when layered on top of existing traffic and retention. And this illustrates why optimization often beats more traffic. So, folks, This is all I wanted to share from trivia perspective. Likewise, if you have come across any interesting facts related to growth, do let us know. And that's it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in and also for being part of our awesome TGV family. So until next time, take care, stay inspired, and remember, the best is yet to come. Goodbye for now. See you on the next episode with another amazing guest. Take care. Love you all. Bye bye.